Hey everyone, welcome to New Slang. I'm music journalist Thomas Mooney, your host, and this is episode 108, where I'm joined by Bobby Duncan and Donovan Dodd, the co-hosts of the music podcast The Co-Write. We started talking about doing a two-parter the other day, and this is the result, which this is part two, so if you haven't listened to part one just yet, go check that out over on the Co-Write's feed, and then come back right here for this part. As you'd expect by now, I'll throw a link to their iTunes feed into the show notes. During part one, they basically lead the conversation asking a few questions, and then during this episode, I lead the conversation and they answer. And in between, we have a music festival draft, 6 rounds in total, 3 rounds over in part one and 3 right here. I, of course, think I won, but y'all can be the judge. There was a little bit of controversy even, but of course, y'all can judge who won the music festival draft. If this is your first time listening to New Slang, I strongly suggest hitting that subscribe link. If you just did, I'm giving you a virtual high five right now. New Slang is over on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and basically any and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Go check out the New Slang merch store, grab a koozie, some stickers, buttons, and magnets. Any bit helps. I'll throw a link into the show notes. And if you're into playlists, go check out Tom Mooney's Cup of Coffee and the Neon Eon playlists over on Spotify. The Neon Eon is for all your nostalgic 90s country needs, which there's going to be more Neon Eon related stuff coming your way pretty soon. And then Tom Mooney's Cup of Coffee is a regularly updated mix of new Americana and country music. It's also a really great hint at who I have coming up on the podcast. So yeah, go follow those. Thoroughly enjoyed talking with Bobby and Donovan about music, getting their views and perspectives on things. This is a long one, so I won't keep you waiting that much longer during this intro. Here is Bobby Duncan and Donovan Dodd of The Co-Write.
Obviously, all of the things that we just talked about will not be on there.
That's all going to be on the. That's all on the record.
Exactly.
So, yeah, like I guess where I want to start out with is this scene is such a, like the Texas music scene, as far as like the whatever we want to call it, it is very easy to get in, like on the inside of it, but it's also like it can be very difficult to get onto the inside and really feel like you know these people. Do you feel like, I guess, like, how did you guys get morphed into being, to feel like that you're actually on the inside looking out and like accepted by not just your peers, but like, you know, people that you went to go see shows of and stuff like that? At what point did you feel like, you know, oh, I'm part of I can talk to these people in a real way?
I think from the podcast perspective of the Co-Write, everything that we've been able to do is based on what we did as artists before, you know? So I met Donovan, shortly after I released my very first record. So that was 06. We probably started hanging out 07, 08. And writing songs immediately. And that turned into my second record, which came out in 2009, Faith, Hope, and Everything Else. Both of those records were produced by Walt Wilkins. Obviously, one of Donovan and I's closest friends now, still. We talk all the time. And that's a huge from a name recognition standpoint. Like if you have somebody like Walt, who pretty much every artist respects in this scene, then you have an instant kind of foot in the door to join the party and on the, you know, outer parameters, so to speak. And I basically, as I started playing in more and more shows and opening for people and being on the road with guys like, you know, Brandon Ryder, right, a lot during his heyday, but even Pat, Randy, Wade, Donovan was always with me. And so they knew what he did. They knew who he was. He's welcomed into the circle because he's part of the gang, you know, and he's no different than anybody else. He's either tour managing or he's hanging out, just to be a part of the party. And that all happened, like 8 to 10 years before we ever started doing a podcast. The podcast came about in a different way. So I think like anything else, like, we were welcomed in from a songwriting perspective. And then when we turned it into doing something a little bit different, it's been us asking for the favors and getting them, and because of those years. I don't know. I'll let Donovan elaborate too about what it feels. I think for him, it'll feel differently than it does for me.
Yeah, it feels completely different. Like, cause I don't feel, this is something I struggle with every single day up till today.
This is his humility.
I just truly feel this way. And it happened long before even Bobby and I met. Like, I was a dude that was, again, like my age. I'm 45 years old. So I was going to a lot of these shows. And when I say a lot of shows, I mean, I was going to every freaking show, and I was the dude. I was even up front with 8 beers watching Pat Green at the Groovy Mule in 98. You know what I'm saying? Like an idiot, like, and trying to get you
an idiot. Don't sell yourself short. That's badass.
Well, it's just one of them things. So by the time I met Bobby and we became friends, and then we wrote songs that we were like, holy shit, I think these are good. And then Walt was like, yeah, these are good. And luckily he had already had a name and his record had already been out. So there was already something there. But to answer your original question, I still struggle with it, man. Like I still feel like it's the imposter syndrome to the nth degree. Yeah. I don't feel like I belong, even though I know that we've written some great ass songs and Bobby's music is very good. And though there's probably a lot of people out there that maybe aren't familiar with it because it just didn't, if they weren't listening to this type of genre 12 years ago, maybe they missed the last record that came out. But it's just it's always a struggle for me, even though I feel cool with these cats, and like most of them I know that I'm comfortable, but I'm never like, oh yeah, they're gonna know who I am. It's always like, yeah, I'm the dude that's like kind of always hanging around Bob.
Exactly. And I would say that both of those answers are kind of how we view the scenario, right? So for me, I'm accepted from the inside because I'm the guy who's up there singing the songs. For Donovan, he was a fan before I even started writing songs, period. So it's hard for him to feel accepted from the inside. But to give you an example, a podcast we released a few weeks ago with Brady Black, Brady knows Donovan, remembers him from all the times we've interacted, and knows exactly what we do, how we do it, refers to him with it's an acceptance, like it's there. It's just easier for me to feel like I'm in the middle of this group than it is for Donovan because, he doesn't.
You're the one on stage.
Exactly.
You're the one on stage.
Yeah. Like I think the imposter syndrome is something that we all kind of can struggle with because you've seen it a million times where you're backstage with somebody and there's always somebody who comes in who thinks like they're best friends with whoever it is who's been playing that night. And, they maybe hang out a little bit too longer than they should. And then they walk out or you see that artist kind of like going, oh, blah, blah's coming up here, or this guy. But you kind of have to put on that face, I guess, for a lot of people to please a lot of people when you're an artist. And always in the back of your mind, you're going, hopefully I'm not like overstaying my welcome, And yeah,
well,
I don't know.
As an artist, you can kind of realize when I remember, I'll bring up a specific scenario. I remember a show that Pat Green played at Billy Bob's, and Donovan and I, we were both like, let's just go and check it out. So we go through send the texts out, get good treatment, go to the show. We're sitting right up front, go backstage at the end of the show. basically see how many people are in the room. And like Pat knows who I am. I mean, like we're just friends, and he knows Donovan by proxy. And we just look around the room, and the type of people that we look around the room and we go, all right, let's go. Like we're going to go
fuck out of here.
Yeah. We're going to go somewhere else and just sit down and have a beer. Like I don't think that we feel the need to be in those scenarios even then. And that was years ago. Definitely don't feel it now. And even on shows that I'm playing with a bunch of people, like you look for your closest friends and you're like, hey, you guys want to go to the White Elephant, or you guys want to go to this other place, or like, let's just go out here and get away from all these people.
Yeah. I think like now it's probably so much more simply because everyone is looking for the Instagram shot. Like I get that shot with the artist, but also I want to be in the background of everyone else's shot.
Yeah.
I
think to a degree too, some of these guys have become more, I mean, I'll use the word famous than I think any of us thought was possible 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're also older, and, you know, everybody has a family now, especially the tier 1 guys. Like there's just scenarios you don't want to be involved in anymore because you've been around them for a decade.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that, from my perspective,
well, the older tier ones, like there's some younger tier ones that are still out there turning it all the way up.
Well, and good for them.
Yeah,
they should.
Fuck yeah, that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you don't miss out.
Go ahead, Parker and Co. Do your thing.
Don't miss out on your opportunity because it goes quick. You know, it does, and it could end. And we watched the person who would be position 1 on the Mount Rushmore of Texas red dirt music kind of fall back to reality a bit. And I was there for the majority of it. You know, Wave on Wave came out in 2004, Pat's record. We're talking about Pat Green. Came out in 2004. I made my first record in 2006, and Pat's entire band played on that record because Walt had toured with them the year before. And so I knew them all. I'd been around them. I'd opened shows when I had a band finally in like 2007, 2008. And then watched it all happen. And just to be perfectly honest, Pat is way more pleasurable to be around now than he was back then. You know, he's older, reality's been checked a little bit. And I think a lot of guys remove themselves of those situations. I would put the same question on you, Tom. How do you feel if you find yourself in that situation? And because, like, we'll just say the next charity event where there's going to be 4,000 people and every artist in Texas that has a name, plus guys like me who don't have a name, like, you know, like you're talking about like 4 or 5 groups of people. You should come to that and be a part of it. How would you feel in that scenario? Like, would you feel like you're in uncharted waters, or would you feel comfortable?
You know, like I feel I'm always a wallflower regardless of place. It could be, you know, hanging out with family during Thanksgiving. I'm still kind of like on the outside. So like I'm comfortable in situations like that, but I'm also just kind of like, it's because I find the familiarity of whatever that place is. So I guess like I'm also of the type of person who I'm really comfortable with silence. I'm comfortable not talking with people and just watching and doing my own thing. And that's probably because most of my life I was an only child. My little brother's 14 years younger. So I feel like that's been a part of it. And so to answer your question, like I kind of let people come to me more so than the other way around. And sometimes people think of that as being, you know, an asshole or like thinking I'm better than them or something like that. But
are you a blue light celebrity?
No. I hope not.
I mean, no, seriously. Do people know you there though? They've got to know you.
Yeah. I mean, like I've got my spots at blue light where that's like kind of like my corner, like my, there's this one corner at Blue Light that more so where the musicians will hang out, and that's where
like it's like a coffee machine and a coffee maker.
I mean, the end of the bar that goes towards the bathroom, like
that corner right there.
Yep.
And that's the prime position in that is like closest to the bar on the wall, and you're just able to watch people from there, and you're able to like stay in conversation with people. And
Donovan, that same
close
position,
to the bar.
That same position exists at Magnolia Motor Lounge. It's between the jukebox and the end of the bar.
Yeah, sure.
Against that wall. Yeah.
Right on.
It's the exact same spot.
Yeah. So that's kind of like my spot as far, and I guess people know who I am, but I don't know. It's right. You always get people to come up and be like, "Hey, are you Thomas Mooney from Twitter?" And you're like,
from Twitter.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, that depends.
Okay, yeah.
No, but I think to answer your question, I think Donovan still deals with a little bit of the, I don't know how to say it properly because it's his own feeling, but he deals with we'll just say like if I live here in New Jersey now, if somebody's coming to town, Donovan will be like, "Hey man, do you think it's cool if I reach out to them?" And it could be Drew Kennedy, and that even took 6 months for him to get the comfort of just reaching out to our friend Drew, who we both know,
even like Rodney.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, just ask them to put you on the list, dude. They don't fucking care. Like, they don't want your money. Like, they want to hang out with you. They want you to be there because they know you and they like you. And
yeah, I hate that shit. I hate it.
Yeah, I know. And so he has a really hard problem with it. For me, it's completely different, where I've just been in the game for so long that's just how things operate.
Well, there's just a difference, man. You're an artist and I'm not. And that's like, we write songs together and it is what it is. And this is what it's taken 12 years. This is like therapy. Thanks, Tom. I don't feel that way. And it doesn't, but I still feel weird about it.
It doesn't exactly, but that's what you feel. And that's not what the other people feel. And that's what I was trying to portray, is they view you in the same light that they view me.
Yeah. Like the asking of to put you on a list kind of thing. That is, I guess that's where that makes you really, I can relate, because it's one of those things like,
if it's just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, let's just say it's a sold out show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than, cause I'll pay any other time. Like, I would never ask for anything like we're paying. But if it's a sold out show, or if it's like Billy Bob's and you're like trying to get a different spot,
right.
Which is man, that's just the thing, man. Like, this feels like such a douche move.
And for the record, I will pay too for people that I know that can benefit from having the ticket sale number.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. You absolutely.
I'll always be like, "Hey man, now I'm going to pay for my ticket tonight." Like, just not. I mean, like, that's just what I'm going to do.
Be backstage, but I'm paying.
Yeah, right. You can just leave my credentials at the door and I'll buy the ticket.
Yeah. Well, I guess like one of the parts to relate it to this is, since so much of what I do is, real like journalism, as far as like
you don't have to air quote it. Like, you're a journalist. That's how we view you in a positive light. Like,
yeah. Well, I guess like what I'm getting to is like, there's this whole other aspect of talking with a whole lot of PR people, and like where even guys I know that like I could just call them, like Bauman's a great example with like John. I can just text him and say, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And it's worked out. We don't have to go through the PR, but he's fine with that. Where other guys, I've gone through their PR just simply because, hey, you're paying for them to do this, and it's maybe a little bit easier. So like going that route. And so sometimes that's even just going like, "Hey, you know what? Let's make this PR person put me on the list versus you."
Yeah.
So, or, whatever the case is. And I've been really fortunate and lucky to know all the Blue Light guys for a long time. So like, I'm just kind of the previous owners they just told me like, hey, you're on the list from now on for forever. And I kind of just got grandfathered in on that. So that's always really great. So you can just.
What are you going to do when you move, bro?
Oh, I'm probably, if I ever move, it's going to be down to
Fort Worth.
Oh, no, that's even too much. I'm getting stressed already. Just
sell out.
So Lubbock,
who owns the Blue Light now?
It's 3 owners, and it's Lance Lusk, Dustin Six, and
right.
Jared Connor.
But it's not. I mean, you were talking about David before, Brooks.
Yeah. The Brookses.
Yeah.
They really like. I was. This was like right when I was starting New Slang, and so it was very much like I was getting put on lists to come write about shows so much that they were just like, yeah, you can just get in from now on. And so then like it just kind of kept that.
So when I first started playing in Lubbock, you had to work your ass off to get a gig at the Blue Light. So I played all these terrible places forever. My band and I would go up there because like I wanted to play the Blue Light, and I got in finally because I had this booking deal with Bruce Kalmick and KB Talent when they were first starting, and they got us in there. And once we got in, David Strout and I hit it off really good, and David Brooks and I hit it off really well. And I just kind of became the guy that they could rely on when somebody canceled. And we would load up and drive from Fort Worth, and they would always cover. Like David Brooks would always cover our hotel room. Like that was the key. And and he may give us, like, if it was a terrible return on ticket sales, like he might give everybody $100 and he covered the room, and we would just go because we didn't have a ton of shows. And that's how I really got into playing there and played there a lot of times. I probably have played there. I mean, it's got to be 30 times, maybe more than that. And obviously Lance was the door guy, and Six was behind the bar, and everybody was there. And I remember I brought that story up to talk about those guys that own it now, which is incredible to me. But because of those years back then, we were all being ridiculous. But I remember being hammered one night. I was in town for Oklahoma Tech game with some friends that went to Tech, and just like walked in the front door because I was inebriated and being stupid and 25 or whatever age I was. And I'll never forget this. It's one of my biggest regrets. There was like a line to get in. There were 1 in, 1 out for whatever band was playing. I can't remember. And I just tried to go in the door, and Lance was like, "Oh man, you can get in. Like you're Bobby, man. You can get in." And I'll never forget it, because from that moment on, I've never wanted to be that guy again. Like I haven't. And I know that I can use avenues with the artist in order to get in, but I don't want to just assume that I can just walk into a place where all these people are waiting to see somebody because I've played there or whatever. And I don't know. It's one of those deals that sticks with you, one of those weird things.
I think you always never want to get or you overuse that.
Yeah.
That just to be that guy, bro. Nobody wants to be that guy.
Nope.
In any scenario.
Nope.
Yeah. Because that's another really, I guess, an example is like, if you've been at Blue Light and you've seen regulars walk their tab, and like sometimes it's like, oh, that first time or something like that, you're like, they just covered or whatever the case, they let you, they text you or whatever the case. I've never walked a tab, but you get what I'm saying? Like sometimes you're able to, they give you the benefit of the doubt, and that you don't ever want to like wear that out, basically.
Yeah.
In any kind of situation. So
it's one of the rare venues in our state that actually feels like you could be a regular there. Like there are, I guess we have the Post in Fort Worth, which has kind of been from the Live Oak to the Post, where you're a regular in terms of concert goer. but they're still charging you for your seat, and they're still charging you for your food and your.
Yeah, I think it's Magnolia more than the Post and Live Oak.
Well, Magnolia is the same thing. Like, nobody feels like they could take advantage of the situation. But at the Blue Light, if you were there all the time, you felt kind of a part of the family.
Oh, yeah. You mean like it's kind of like a corner pub.
Yeah, to a degree, but it's also
you're going to be back the next day.
Yeah, to me, it's top 5 venue in the state of Texas as a performer. It's the place you always wanted to get into. And once you built that crowd that could draw 400 people, like, you got it. Like, that is a moneymaker forever.
Mm-hmm.
But as a fan, I could see, and like I did, even as a fan of the venue and an artist that played there, tried to take advantage of it. So I get it. Like, I understand. You don't want to see it, but I totally get it.
Yeah. Because and this goes back to the even just being the guy backstage and just kind of wearing out the welcome is you don't ever want to be I had a word for it and I just blanked on it. You don't ever want to be like the annoyance, you don't ever want to be the person who, as you've said a million times, you don't want to be that guy, but it's also like, you just don't want,
well, I think from your perspective, if I mean, like, I've had people like this before, where you're coming to town every 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is, to play the Blue Light. You don't want to be the guy that somebody like me in a van driving to Lubbock goes, well, we got to put up with fucking Tom tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you would ever be that person. Like, we've already done an hour and a half or 2 hours of this. So we're boys for life. We're going to swap numbers later, and we're going to start a co-write New Slang text thread and keep it going with ideas.
A wire podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have
I'm fucking in all day.
It's going to happen. But I totally get that from your perspective. Like, that does exist. I don't know if you really have to worry about that, because you're a very genuine human and a great music writer, and somebody that if you concern yourself with what the fan thinks about what you write, that's one thing. But I feel comfortable going on record and saying that 90% of artists are going to read what you write because we feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a very real thing. Like what you were saying, like, you don't want to be that guy that everybody has to put up with, as I make air quotes, because they're playing the Blue Light.
Basically, it's like, if you're a fan listening to this, if you're a person that happens to get backstage or happens to run into an artist that you really like, or you happen to be in a situation where there are people that you're like fond of and maybe they're semi D-list famous, just be cool.
Yeah.
Just be cool. Out. Just be cool, because that's the easiest thing. It's the hardest thing to do, but it's the thing that they want you to do the most.
Yeah.
Just be cool, because they'll love you forever if you're cool. And the next time you're around and you were cool the first time, they'll be like, oh, I remember that one. They were cool.
Yeah.
And that shit matters. That matters to your fill in the blank names of people that you really dig in this, scene or whatever, whoever it is. If you run into fucking Morgan Freeman or Denzel or whatever, I don't like, just fucking like, yo, man, like, maybe you want to get a picture, maybe you don't. I don't know, man. Just be cool. Like, just be cool.
Yeah. That's one of the things I used to get so nervous talking with people as far as like doing interviews. It's the same thing as like, oh, we're just hanging out talking. That's fine. Put the microphone in front, and it was like, oh God,
you could hear
what to ask. Yeah. And at some point you just realize you're just hanging around these people enough where you're like, oh, these people are just regular people. I don't know why
most of them are weirder than you are.
The cult of personality, right? Of like these guys, as far as they become worshipped by people. And then you're kind of like, oh man, like, it's just, you don't have to treat them like they're a god, they don't like that.
Especially if you have a job to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for you, it's like you've got a job, you know what I mean? Like, but like, I mean, we'll just talk about Ryan Adams. Like, Ryan Adams, my favorite artist. Love the cat. I don't ever want to hang out with Ryan Adams. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. ever. I don't want to meet him. I'd probably hang out with Bruce for the record, but like,
That,
you know
I
what
was
I mean?
gonna
Like
say,
you just gotta, like everybody's just a person, you know what I mean? Like, and you got to be able to realize that you be you, and maybe sometimes you just go, all right, man, I got to go. Like, I don't want to do this tonight.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things come to mind in that same vein. One about Bruce, because I'm with you, Donovan, about hanging out with Ryan Adams. I don't think that we would have a ton to talk about. But with Bruce moving up here, this is Bruce country. Like he's everywhere. Like he lives 20 minutes from here, and he's around pre-pandemic times. He's around to all the bars and the places that he's frequented since he was a kid. Like he's just around. He's kind of ingrained himself into the culture here that it's not surprising if you live here for 20 years, you're going to know or run into Bruce at some point, which is crazy to think of like, in my opinion, an icon of American music.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many of them, but he's one of them. And
you're just out there getting a Snickers bar every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and just hanging out at a bar with the people that he likes to ride motorcycles with or whatever it is. Like he's just around. And Reckless Kelly and Randy Rogers Band were on a tour here in like 2009, 9, somewhere like that. They played the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park and just down the road. And Bruce showed up for sound check, and he was with like 3 buddies, and they were riding their bikes around. They know the owners of the bar. They walked in to listen to sound check and talked to the bands for 45 minutes or whatever, and talked about gear and sound, and nothing that had to do with the fact that, oh my God, you're Bruce Springsteen, but had to do with the fact of like, man, your guitar tone sounded really good. Like, what are you using? What are you running through? And that's completely different. But you see that all the time if you just follow him on Instagram or Patty Scalfa on Instagram, and they're around all the time. They pop into the Stone Pony for sound check. They're just normal people. They want to live their life. They don't care if you want to take a picture, but if you're like, oh my God, let me take a picture with you, they're like, no, we're good. Like
they're also always on the list for sound check.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, when no one else can walk in, Bruce and Patty get to walk in and watch sound check.
Yeah,
because they can't watch the show.
Yeah, I know. They haven't been out during the pandemic, and good for them. But yeah, no, like last summer, I was trying to run into him so hard. I missed it by a couple hours at one restaurant one time. But
Tom, we just totally hijacked that question for like 24 minutes.
Yeah, sorry.
No. I mean, like I try and have it more conversation based. Like, anyways, like there's no rapid fire questions.
No shit. No shit.
So it's one of the things I was wanting to ask you guys too, because I think you guys have the perspective of being in this so long that like you've seen these trends that you maybe didn't necessarily think were going to happen. You didn't really have the foresight to see like, oh, this person is going to blow up. What has been like, or just like a shift in music? Obviously so much of this was based off, so much of like Texas music was based off the guys from the Robert Rokeens, the Jerry Jeff Walkers, Willie Nelsons. And you get into like the Pat Greens, the named guys, right? Just the Pat Greens, the Randy Rogers, the Wade Bowens. From that point though, like it feels like we've gone through so many different, I guess, movements, right? As far as what is quote unquote Texas music, what is red dirt music? What have you been most surprised by, I guess is what I'm getting to, as far as like a certain sound or type of band that's made it big. What has been like the most surprising aspect of what is considered Texas music for you guys?
So, yeah,
I'm going to let Donovan go because he's been a fan longer than I, but I have some ideas too.
I don't know that I'm surprised by anything, man, because like there's so many people in our big cities in Texas, and obviously if you kind of count Oklahoma, which we have to for sure. I think that it's what I've always kind of attributed at least like popularity to is being in a college town. Like it's just one of them things, man. Like you can pick the list of performers, artists, bands, whatever. There is a reason. There's definitely a trend of being in Lubbock, College Station, Austin, Stillwater. It's almost kind of it, to be honest. Like, you know, where there's just so many artists that were in the right place at the right time. And not to say that they're not talented, because most of them are, but it's just there's been the ability to, ability is the wrong word again, but like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know.
I think from an artist's perspective, the craziest thing to wrap your brain around is being in it long enough to see the shift in generations.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that I grew up with, which was Pat in his heyday, Randy, you know, exploding, the resurgence of Wade from Live at the Blue Light to Lost Hotel, and then your one constant always Reckless Kelly, but also Ragweed's blow up. The Purple album and even the whatever Sick and Tired record, whatever that was, I can't remember. But
Soul Gravy.
Yeah, Soul Gravy. Like those records exploding.
The best record was the one before that.
Yeah, Highway 377. But like those records blowing up and turning it into something that it was never supposed to be. And then watching people exploit that in a good way, not in a bad way, but like use it to their advantage and gain popularity. And it didn't really, you know, like when I was playing a ton, and, you know, like Abbott and I we slept on twin bed mattresses in Donovan's apartment one night after a show at Woody's Tavern in Fort Worth. And Will and I stayed at a studio there in Lubbock one night after we did a song swap at the Blue Light, and then I cut one of those Mount Vernon sessions, you know, the next morning, and then me and Red played at the Blue Light in a song swap, and then I went to Bluffdale and stayed at his mom's house one night when we played a show. And all of these guys have gone on, and that's kind of the natural progression of things. To me, it's been the last few years where you see people like Koe Wetzel, who I have no problem talking about, make music that I don't understand and don't see an exemplary artistic, you know, I don't know, product come out of them that explode. And then you realize, okay, well then, you know, the time's kind of passed me by to a degree. And there's a formula, we talked about it with Brady, and I, you know, like I'm really close with a lot of those guys, Randy and those guys in that band, and Wade. And there's a formula that the Randy Rogers band has that works across generational lines. And they're going to be fine for a long time. But you've watched guys like Pat come back down to earth, guys like Wade, you know, always concerned about, you know, the art that he makes is better, I think, in my opinion, than anybody else. And he still is concerned with, like, how do I put people into these venues? Because he's not doing the least common denominator song all the time. And I'm not saying that Koe does. Like, I mean, there's stuff that Koe and Parker do that are good songs. We've talked about it a lot on the podcast. I love to make fun of Parker McCollum and the person that he portrays himself to be on Twitter, only because I know from experience that you can't be both. You can't be that person on Twitter and then write good songs, which I think Parker writes pretty good songs a lot of the time. they need refinement in my opinion, but like I think the bones and the structure of the songs are really solid, and I feel like it's an act, and I feel like that's the way the scene's moved, and that's a natural kind of progression. It's no longer. We talked about this with Brady. It's in 05, 06, 07. It was the beginning of the explosion for a lot of congestion in the Texas music scene, but it was still achievable, and Will proved it, Abbott proved it. Like you could still achieve that next level with good music.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think that we have gone full bore into just being a mini kind of national country scene, where it's songs that you have to produce songs that people are going to want to float the river to or drive back roads to in order to get on festivals and get choice slots and get radio play. And the quality of the song has diminished because of it.
But that being said, there is still a full like tour pipeline of singer-songwriters that are going, like your Waltz and your Drews and your Gryders and and Courtneys and Edie's and Adam Hoods, these people that are able to navigate the waters of the entire scene through every town.
Well, but what you've seen from
not necessarily sell out, but like have 50, 75, 100 people in every town that they go to and be able to make a living.
Exactly.
Writing great songs.
But what you've seen too, I think in the last decade, really, when this has all happened, is you've seen those people look elsewhere. So you've seen Jason and Courtney go to Minnesota and Wyoming and New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania and find, and they've basically paved the way now for people who want to be the touring songwriter. And then you also still have that massive following of college kids who are looking for party songs that exist. And I think that it all came out of the fact that the guys that were there in 05, 06, 07, they just got older, right? And they can
before 05.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. Yeah, and they can draw those crowd. But before then, I think even those guys were part of the young crowd and could relate to that and write songs that related to you, who was going in 98 and filling your cargo shorts with beers to listen to Pat Green
cargo
play.
Pants.
Oh shit, even worse.
Pants, bro. Pants.
Cargo shorts still have utility. Cargo pants, none whatsoever.
Extra pockets.
Yeah,
down the calf.
Yeah, but they heat you up.
Don't worry about it. Shut up.
I'm sorry. But like I think that it's split, right? It feels to me that it's split to a degree. I don't know. I feel like I can be completely immersed and involved in the Texas music scene and never go to a Co-Wetzel show and be active. But there are a lot of people that
it just depends on how old you are.
Exactly. There's a lot of people that I'm related to by marriage. Two of them, my wife's brother and sister, who are twins, that are 22, 3 now, that live off of that other stuff.
Yeah, like I said,
because that's what they grew up with. That's their generation, and it's weird to me. That's been the most eye-opening aspect is watching the generation shift from one to the other. And when my wife's sister, my sister-in-law Bailey, it was in college at A&M. She graduated 2 years ago. So when she was in college at A&M, she was texting me like, "Hey, I don't have any money. Like, can you get me into Mike Ryan's show, or can you get me into William Clark Green's show?" And I'm like, "Look, I'll tell you what I tell anybody else. Like, I'll text Will or I'll text Mike and see what they say. But if they say no, I'm not fighting for it." And of course, like, they were always super cool. I'm like, "Yeah, of course we'll put her on the list or whatever." It was always just her and a friend. I never say you can get more than you and a friend in. But they were always cool with that because I grew up with those dudes, and like, we were cutting our teeth at the same time. But to watch it shift away from the people that I kind of idolized to those guys, and then now to completely different people is it's actually kind of been hard to deal with, I think, to a degree.
Yeah. It's in my opinion, like what's happened so much, where the growth of Texas music has happened has been on the business side of things, right? It's where it felt like so much stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s was everyone was just trying to figure it out. And it was so much still connected to what the national scene would be, right? As far as like, oh, if you want to be a national artist, you have to cut a record in Nashville. And obviously you saw Pat do that. You've seen all these guys go and record records up there. And that's where you would see them try and make that transition while also knowing that Texas is going to be there. The business aspect though has matured so much where it is like Texas is almost like a mini national scene where you do have, I think like the biggest thing that people don't want to admit is that one of the reasons bro country has been a big thing is because of like contributions from Texas. Like there is a bro country aspect of Texas music.
There always was.
And so there's that. It's, I don't know. It's, I guess like what's also, I don't know, like so many of these kids grew up listening to Blink 182 and like I have to like I would have to imagine like honestly one of the big things is these like everyone playing like these X Games like on PS3 or PS2 or whatever the case, like Tony Hawk stuff, you know, as being an influence, as being something that that you could get at Walmart that was easy to digest, and then like that being a massive influence versus, you know, years ago, the Eagles or the Stones or whoever the case is.
I also think hip hop, man, dude, hip hop.
Yeah.
You think Parker and Co and those guys are very influenced by hip hop.
Mm-hmm,
you know, sure. Like there's just like you can feel it in their vibe, not just like maybe not all of their music, but a little bit of the music. But definitely in their personalities,
I think,
you know, because you couldn't have like, again, my age, I'm a little older like that. You know, you had to go seek that stuff out when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know, as a person who's 22, 3, 4, 5 years old, that was just part of your life. You know, hip hop is, you can't get away from it right now.
I think that all right, well, I guess this is the unique perspective that I can bring as a part of this triumvirate. So in 2005, when I made my first record, it came out in 2006. That was the tail end of the artistry kind of being the thing that drove the scene, right? Like it was Nashville Sucks, Corey Morrow, Nashville Blues, I guess the song, but the shirts, you know, everybody remembers that blue shirt with the yellow lettering that just said Nashville Sucks. And Pat, obviously with Wave on Wave, his second major label album being humongous in 2004, 2005, and being the flag bearer of the Texas music scene, the resurgence from Robert Earl, Jerry Jeff, Willie, those guys. When I started, the formula that existed then was completely based around who you hire as a radio promoter, who you hire as a booking agent, and then who you hire as a manager. Because it had already started to formulate around, this is the way to get your song on the radio. Right? You pay $4,000 to a record promoter and they go out and they push your single for 12 weeks. And it was a fight over, you know, I met with a bunch of them like, you know, we want to do this. We want to do that. We want to push your single. I don't think any of them ever really cared about the song. They just wanted the money because that was a lot of $4,000 is still a lot of money to pay somebody for 12 weeks of work to just basically do what they're supposed to do. call a radio station, ask them to play a song, go with you to a radio tour, bring cookies, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now it's progressed beyond that, where radio is really not that important. And it wasn't then, but we didn't realize that it wasn't, because there was the Texas Music Chart and there's still the Texas Regional Radio Report. None of those things fucking matter. And they haven't mattered ever. You need people to come to your shows. That's what you need. And now it's morphed from being on the radio, and we saw this directly, Donovan, with my stuff, turned into people coming to your show, which it absolutely did in my experience. It's morphed from that into writing the catchy song that gets the most Spotify shares and listens and results in more people coming to your show. And I think that has been more beneficial to the scene in terms of getting new people listened to, but it's been a detriment to the craft of writing a song, in my opinion.
The big thing now is to get on certain Spotify playlists.
It's the same thing. You pay somebody to put you on those lists.
Yeah. I think like one of the most, I mean, this is something that people probably, it's a given, but sometimes we don't mention it, is just how big getting all this Texas music put on. I never used Napster, but like LimeWire, you know, that's like where the first time I ever got any ragweed songs from was that. And that, it seems like that's such an obvious reason for early Texas music, or like that, whatever you want to call the.
Dude, they did that on purpose. They did that on purpose. They said, record everything we're doing at the Wormy Dog. Just put it on fucking LimeWire and Napster. Mm-hmm. That's why people had all these, like Cody and Boland, doing all these covers and their own shit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's such an obvious answer that no one really mentions it as like, that's the reason why there was a giant boom in growth in this, whatever this regional Texas red dirt, yada, yada, yada. So
the scene.
Yeah. Everybody, we all know.
Yeah. I just wish, I don't know. I
wish somebody would come up with a name that we would all agree on.
Yeah.
So the scene is kind of the genre, the scene.
Yeah.
But Scott Copeland did it best. I don't know if you've heard his song where he called it Alt Texas Country Americana, but like he had like a 20-word thing.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah. I always love, I think like would be funny. I wrote like a little, this was a long time ago. I wrote how no one actually played Texas country, and I made all these like super long, dumb micro genres for about 25 different artists. And it was always like just it's really dumb stuff. But
we wrote like a 12 song only titles of parody songs to Texas country songs. So it's kind of the same thing, but like, how do you make these worse than they actually are?
Yeah.
Even good songs we would take advantage of.
Yeah. I mean, because everything, like even a great song becomes a cliche at some point, right?
Yeah.
What I was
like Everclear. Think about that. Like, how many times did you listen to Everclear when you were 19? You know what I mean? And like, you're looking at it now, we're the same age, and you're looking at it now and you're just like, no, not a good song. But then that's the best song you ever heard.
This episode is sponsored by the Blue Light Live and Tom's Daiquiri here in Lubbock, Texas. Like pretty much every bar and venue in the country, Blue Light 2 has been closed for much of the year due to the pandemic. What they've done, though, is adapt and evolve. And so for the foreseeable future, Tom's has curbside service. Monday through Saturday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., you'll be able to get your Blue Light essentials. That's daiquiris, beer, hand sanitizer, and snacks. What you'll want to do is call up Tom's with your order at 1-806-749-5442, and then you'll run by 1806 Buddy Holly Avenue and pick up your order. It's pretty simple. I'll throw a link to the menu in the show notes. While you're at it, head over to bluelightlubbock.com, click the merch tab, and get yourself some much-needed Blue Light merch. They recently just restocked with koozies, t-shirts, and caps. My personal favorite is this new shirt that they have in cantaloupe with blue ink. I know you're asking, what color is cantaloupe? Well, it's literally like the color of like a freshly cut cantaloupe. As someone who typically wears various shades of denim, probably going to have to get this shirt for that much needed pop of color in my closet, but I digress. So to recap, call Tom's Daiquiri Monday through Saturday for some curbside pickup and visit bluelightlubbock.com for some Blue Light merch. All right, back to the show.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like I think like for most of the population, what you listen to in college is what you kind of still listen to as you grow up. If you're not, because you get the job, you get the wife and kids, you aren't going out as much. You're watching Monday Night Football, and you're just going to continue listening to what you did because you just don't have enough time. But like I feel like I've understood more of that as I've grown up, because I would always be like, why aren't you not listening to new music? Why do you think country music died back in whatever year, you know? And it's because, you had more important things to think about than like your favorite Guy Clark song or that kind of thing.
Yeah, dude, I had a question written down to ask you earlier. Like, how do you have so much time to listen to all this music? Because I listen to your podcasts and I read your stuff and I'm like, this dude actually listens to this shit. Not only does he listen to it once, but he listens to it enough to actually form an opinion on how he feels about it. And it has to be an informed opinion. Like, so what you're saying is like, I mean, obviously it's kind of what you do, but man, it's hard, man. It's hard to like continue to listen to stuff. Like, you know, I mean, we all just kind of, like you just said, like you just kind of fall back into your old ways. Like you just kind of just listen to what really does it for you. And yeah, maybe you try some things out. And of course we're going to listen to some stuff tonight and, you know, each week, but man, it's tough to keep up with everything. It really is.
Yeah, it's super overwhelming because there is just so much more music out there. And, you know, a couple of years back, especially like about 2 years ago, I felt a whole lot of like, where I just felt like had grown tired. I grew tired of the routine of it all, because it's, for me, I get a whole lot of records right before they come out. And you think like, oh, that's one of the initial things that you want as a journalist is like, oh, I'm getting all these records before anyone else. You know, you're privileged in that way. And then you realize once it becomes more of a job, you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, when the record gets released, you kind of stop listening to it and you had to move on to the next thing, because it's like,
and everybody cares about something that you stopped caring about 3 months ago.
Yeah. And that's like the weirdest part of it is like, yeah, like right now I'm listening to, like I got sent over like the new Rustin Kelly record, and I've been listening to that a lot and I really like it. But once I may not even write about it or anything like that. But, I remember when his last record came out, I had been listening to it like the entire month beforehand. It was released, and I really, really liked the record. And then we did an interview, put the article out. And then after that, it was like, okay, well, I have to move on to the next thing, because, you know, it's over for me on that point. I don't know. It's this weird thing. I hate that aspect of it becoming too much of a job.
Yeah.
Do you ever think do you write about it like right when you get it and listen to it? That way, like you can, I don't know, be fresh and then file it away and then release it when it becomes public?
No, I'm really horrible with deadlines anyways. So yeah, like, sure. I'm never like let's try and get this beforehand. Like, I don't know.
Are you a Libra? Because I am, and we don't do deadlines.
Yeah, no. No, I'm a Virgo, but I don't even know if deadlines are. I don't know.
No. Oh, me too. Now we got to do it. When's your birthday?
August 27th.
Well, that's terrible.
Oh, so you're right before me. I'm the October 4th. So
I'm September 18th.
Yeah, I'm the first of the Libras, one of the first round.
Yeah,
I don't know what any of that shit means, but
yeah, I never really pay attention to it until like every few months I'll read something and be like, oh my God, how is this accurate?
Why is this so me?
Yeah, it's the same thing with like the personality test, like the Myers-Briggs thing. I'm like, I don't know if this is real, this is pseudoscience.
Dude, I did one. My wife made me do one the other day, and it was like so spot on accurate. I was like, this isn't real. Like, how do they do? This is just
like, oh man, you're seriously an asshole.
Yeah, like you've like you've just preloaded in these answers, like this response to my test, so I could be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's right. I don't do the dishes every night. I just do them in the morning or when I get around to it.
Yeah, it's the 16, because that's where I'm like, there's, I guess we're overanalyzing it, which is part of like my personality. Like there can't be like just 16 personalities out there, but obviously you're like, oh, it's just general way people are. I don't know. It's
I don't know, man. I don't know. I've been pretty tripped out by it before.
Yeah. So anyways, I was I guess like going back to this Texas scene, what is really something that I did not necessarily see happening has been I think like we growing up, you're so much built on it. You understand these prototypes of what a Texas band is, and it's the front man with a band. And I didn't necessarily envision there being so many more types of bands and artists included. Like, just for example, like Mike and the Moon Pies can be on the same bill as someone like Red Shahan or as Pat Green, or we can go with like the Drew Kennedys, and like no one really bats an eye. No one really thinks, oh, that's out of place. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's...
Dude, that happened from the get-go, man. Like,
you really...
Like, yeah, the late 90s, the early 2000s, those festivals, the coolest part about it was you would show up and be like, all right, there's Boland, who's a straight up country, just full on like traditional country. And then there's Ragweed. And then there's Kevin Fowler. And then there's Blue Edmondson. And then there's Jack Ingram. And then there's Charlie Robinson. And then there's, Pat. Like, it didn't matter. Like, that was the weirdest thing about it at the start. It was such a departure from everything from the early 90s. That's why when people, like, I think we had our Twitter conversation was, you said something about like early 90s country. Like, everybody loves early 90s country. I hate early 90s country. Like, it's the most awful shit to me, because it was everything I didn't want to do, because I'm a hip hop guy, at the core. But so when I got to this Texas country thing, it was like all these guys are trying to do something different than, not only 80s country, but also that early 90s, like where it all kind of sounded the same, where all these guys were just like trying to be their own thing. And every festival you went to, everybody was different. And it was the craziest shit. Like, it really was. And it still kind of is. Like, you can go and see, Josh Weathers doesn't play country music, It doesn't matter. Like, pick an artist,
Well, so I think that in the early 2000s, right? Like, it was based upon the fact that there just weren't a lot of people doing it. You know what I mean? There was this group of people that all knew each other, that played with each other, that were the pioneers of a lot of the venues that we know, that the ones that at least still exist, and built the scene like it is today, that weren't doing formulaic music. Like they weren't playing like ragweed is ragweed, blue is blue, Pat is Pat, Randy is Randy, Wade's Wade. Those people all did completely different music, you know, and they still do. Now we've grown into this massive
they've all kind of like segmented into their like a tributary.
Yeah. So now I was just saying, like, now there's just so many people involved, and there's so many different styles and great songwriters that do different things. I think that you get grouped into a genre more based on geography than sonically. And I think like you could look at somebody like Drew Kennedy and say Drew Kennedy plays Texas music because he plays at the Bugle Boy and at the Blue Light and at the Post and all these venues. But in reality, Drew's just an Americana singer-songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty basic.
It's kind of a bad part of it because you said geographically, it's really almost kind of like because they're from Lubbock, because they're from Austin, because they're from College Station. Yeah, you know, it's like, oh yeah, they're because William Clark Green is not Josh Abbott, and they're not Flatland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and none of them are Red Shahan, but they're all Lubbock. Yeah. And they kind of get thrown into the same group. And they all
do completely different things.
And they're not the same kind of music at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the geographic thing, the accent thing. I think the accent's more of a national thing as far as like with Nashville stuff coming out of Nashville. Just because you sing with a Southern accent, your country.
Yeah.
And obviously
just because you're from Texas or Alabama or wherever.
Yeah. And so I don't know. That's such a weird thing as far as why somebody's country or not country or.
I mean, like, is Jason Isbell really country?
That's what I was about to say. Dude, Isbell, even American Aquarium, those guys, that's not country.
No, dude, those guys, like that, you know, I mean, they would put Bruce on the same altar that I would. I mean, BJ would, at least in terms of influence. And, you know, there's nothing. Jason Isbell, I don't think there's been any point of his career where he would go, I'm a country artist.
Yeah.
He's a rock and roll guy. Like, that's his persona. That's who he is. He cares about amplifiers. He cares about tone. He cares about effects. Like, he cares about all of it more than anybody I've ever met. You know, I mean, Pat doesn't play guitar half the time. Like, if I'm playing an acoustic show with Pat, there are two other guys playing guitar with Pat. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the same thing goes for guys like Co Wetzel, who wears his guitar at his kneecaps. Like, there's nothing artistic about what they do. Like, they don't care. I had this conversation with, we did, I guess, with Brady. We got into a lot of the same stuff, I think, with Brady Black. But my biggest takeaway from where everything's moved now is I don't know that anybody that is coming up and is in control of the scene now, from the new age guys, is really trying to do anything unique melodically. I don't think that they view anything or their instrument as a tool. Like, it's just kind of an accessory. And I don't know if that's the right way to look at it. Like, are we trying to have a scene where the song matters and your artistry matters, or are we just trying to have a scene where we can put as many people into city limits as we can?
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. Because just one last note. I look at Randy, these things that we've been doing in the quarantine time where people are recording at their house. And, you know, I would have maybe 10 years ago put Randy in that same category, but I watch him now, and the guy's a fantastic guitar player. Like, he's done all of the work to continue improving his craft. And Wade, to me, and we've talked about it on our podcast, and I think Donovan agrees with me, in our opinion, I'll say mine, but I think I can speak for both of us. Wade is the guy that really stands out as somebody who, album by album, tries to better himself and beat what he did before. And we're obviously really early in this new stage of Texas music, but I'd be interested in seeing kind of what happens in the next 2 years.
Yeah. You know, like the thing that I feel is the thing that what I'm most excited about as far as music coming out now, and it's not even, I'm not necessarily even talking about just straight Texas, because we already mentioned Isbell, is I love, and this is something that obviously Springsteen just made it his thing, is romanticizing wherever you're from, and like telling why your little pocket, your neighborhood, your place, why it's like important, or why it's not important, or why it's bad, or why it's great. And I think like Isbell really popularized it in the modern era with Southeastern. I think after that, he gave an allowance to people to write about your neck of the woods. And that's why I think people like why Turnpike resonates with people. I think that's why people were like, one of the reasons why people love Tyler Childers. And do you guys agree, or what do you guys?
I don't get Tyler Childers, and I haven't.
Yeah, me neither, man. But this are we just old? Are we? Yeah. Is this?
No,
I mean we keep talking about Randy and Pat and Wade and.
But I don't think that.
No, but
I don't think
just because of a specific.
It doesn't speak against your point to say that, and we're talking over each other because we're on Zoom, and it's there is a latency. But it doesn't speak against to say that we don't get Tyler Childers doesn't speak against the point that you were trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I guess that my biggest hope is that the good songwriters will always persist and outlast, and people will find their art on their own terms. I think I'll say this one thing, and then I'm on Donovan's opinion too on this, but I think that when you have these guys that we all look at as great songwriters, you have to also understand that the biggest group of people that are in this quote unquote scene that go to concerts are a lot younger than we are, but at some point they won't be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they're either going to age with the artist, and the artist will continue to put out things that they can relate to, or the artist will go away. And then those people who still love the scene or the music will go find another artist. And somewhere along that time frame, one of these great songwriters is going to pop into their life and into their orbit of music and stick and work. And then everybody kind of gets their piece of the pie.
Yeah, dude, you've said it, man. Like it's all the same thing for everybody, you know, and Tom, you said it earlier, like, and we've said this a couple times, like definitely in private conversations. What you love is when you had the most feeling in your life, like 17, 18, 19, all the way through 25. If something crazy happened to you at 30, like you latched onto a song or an artist then, like those artists, those songs are the ones that work for you. So like it's an age gap, and there's a reason why like a generation of people hate the Eagles, which is the most insane thing of all time.
People who grew up in the 80s.
I hated the Eagles. I'm 45. I hated the Eagles. And then I realized after that documentary came out, I was like, oh shit, I'm an idiot. The Eagles are awesome. And I was totally wrong the entire time. And well, not to say that
you hated the Eagles for completely legit purposes. It's because you grew up when classic rock radio,
right?
Was
sure,
at
but
its
me and seriously had millions of other people had the exact same thing. And so if you zoom in to Texas music, Oklahoma, Texas, whatever, it's the exact same thing. Like there are people that are 25 that are going, fuck Randy Rogers, man. Fuck Wade.
Well, I think less
fuck
than
Stoney
that.
LaRue.
Well, I think,
you know what I mean? Like they are.
Hold on. I think that
you hold on.
I think that even more than that, they're saying fuck Cross Canadian Ragweed. They're saying,
well, that's insane. That's ridiculous.
But it's not, because they don't know them. They've never seen them, right? So they're like, that's a band that hasn't existed for 8 years now, and they're going, why do I care about this? Like, why am I like, they don't play anymore. Like, I don't need this anymore. Randy, which we've hit on before, has their formula. They still maintain. Their audience is still very large. They did the biggest numbers they've done at like Concrete Street and Brewster Street and Billy Bob's 2 years ago, which to me is the most insane stat I've seen from ticket draws in Texas music. Like the fact that they were pulling their biggest numbers 2 years ago, when to me they were at their height in 06, 07, 08, whatever. That's ridiculous to me. So I'll leave them out. But Wade's a perfect example. Like, these people will start losing fans at some point. Those guys have been able.
They probably already have. That's my whole point. Like, there's 15 years of people that don't care about any of those bands that we keep talking about over and over and over again.
Yeah, but they're probably not listening to this podcast either.
I don't know. We're on the New Slang podcast.
Well, I meant like, yeah. I mean, if
that's so no.
22-year-olds listen to podcasts, like, let's go around the horn and discuss that.
Yeah,
that's from Tech, dude.
So, I don't know. Some of them do, I guess. I don't know. I think a better, not necessarily better, but
yeah, say better, bro. Come on,
better example though is somebody like Robert O'Keefe. I feel like he's lost a lot of that early, because like so the template of was so much built off of his live records, right? And
well, definitely the live dinner,
yeah. And but you've seen him I hate to say even transition, because there's a lot of really great material that he did while also doing the road goes on forever. But like, people just latch onto that song as being his biggest song, and like that's like the atmosphere that's all he is, or something like that. While there is so much more to him, but like you've seen him transition from being like the biggest artist on the block to being further down the list, I guess.
Well, I think that young people will always latch themselves to The Road Goes On Forever because it's something they can relate to. Mm-hmm. Young people cannot relate to his best song, which I think is Feeling Good Again. You know, it's not something that they've experienced. And that's normal. Young people will relate to the Co Wetzel song about not being sober enough to drive to Taco Bell. Mm-hmm. But what does Co write in 5 years that they can relate to? If it's the same shit, then he'll go the way of Roger Krieger, who's just going to be playing that same song for his entire career.
I'm gonna have to disagree, as I always
that's
do.
Fine, but
it's
okay. I'm not.
We're very good.
I'm not. But those records are antiquated now, right? Like,
depends on how old you are.
Exactly. I'm talking about the younger generation.
Yeah, this is all about age.
Exactly. That's my whole point, is about age.
That was my whole point before your point.
But like, I think that.
Welcome to the co-ride again, Tom.
I think that there's so much unwritten about a scene that we're unfamiliar with now. And it's changed for you, Tom, and me, and especially Donovan, probably a couple times over. No offense.
But, no, it's real.
Yeah, I know. But like,
shit hurts.
I think that there's so much unseen in this new era that we're just going to have to kind of watch it play out. And
but what we've said the last couple, like at least the last like year and a half or 2 years, I feel like it's as good as it's been in about 10 years. I really do. I feel like the good artists, the very good artists, are better than they've been in a long time.
I think
my opinion of them, of which artists those are different than
it's subjective, right?
The popular ones. But when it comes to like, can I pick out a bunch of great records and artists that are out there doing it and like Drew's best record of all time and Courtney Patton and Jason Adam Hood still killing it. And Greider is always awesome. And Bauman is crushing it. And
I think a better way.
It's best. Charlie Shafter, who is probably my favorite person to watch play. Like these guys are just like the music is still very, very good.
I think a better way to say it, I mean, is to say that everybody kind of has a place to land now in terms of a venue to play. Like those venues exist all over now for those guys that Donovan mentioned that I agree with are phenomenal. And they don't have to compete against the other guys that are doing bigger numbers with younger crowds because they don't care. Like there's a venue in Fort Worth that holds 75 people in non-COVID times that they can fill up when name the popular artist is playing Billy Bob's and putting 4,000 people in there. And those 75 people are going to show up and pay the ticket price. And that artist is making money. You know, they're not breaking even. They're not losing money. They're not getting hurt by the fact that they're in the same town at the same time as some other artists.
And the venue can live too.
Exactly. So we have all of these places for these different avenues to thrive. And that's a real benefit to music lovers like us.
Yeah. One of the things I've always I guess I've touched on in the last few years has just been the most important thing in Texas. What makes Texas so much different than any other place is now Texas has an infrastructure that allows you to have this diverse level of these, whatever you want to call them, the tiers of Texas music. And you can have the different kind of venues that people, the 75 person venue is their 4,000 person venue. You know what I mean? So that's the, and also like, just to go back, you were talking about this is what we had, like the best music. It's at the most healthy it's been in 10 years or so. I agree. And I think like people will often listen to people who talk about this kind of stuff and go, man, you guys are all so negative about everything. But I think it's one of those things where when you love something so much, you're given the allowance to nitpick it.
You just want it to be good, man. Mm-hmm. You want it to be better.
One of the questions I was wanting to ask you guys was, what book, what artist needs like that behind the scenes book that you would like most like to read that doesn't have one that's within, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be necessarily Texas, but within, the Americana scene? Is there like that book of, a book about Jason Isbell or something, or whatever the case? Who's that artist that you're like, I need to get that book?
I mean, it's Walt, dude. It's Walt. Like Walt's life, Walt's, going to Nashville, I feel like he has told us so many things and has told many people during his shows because he's very open when he talks, but there's so much stuff that he has never said. The guy's he's done everything. And he knows Guy Clark and he knows Harlan Howard and it's Walt Wilkins to me. It's not even close in my opinion.
Yeah, I would view it from a couple of different perspectives, from the fan perspective and also from, if we're talking about like a tell-all, what was the career like in not holding anything back? I would love to read a story firsthand from what Pat Green went through, from what it felt like when you release whatever record it was that had Baby Doll on it and Cannonball and all those records, and like what it must have felt like for him to completely lose the fan base that he built the scene. Like there's just you can't
True. He did. You're right. You're 100% right.
It's him. And then everybody else benefited off of what he did. And all those guys would tell you that they benefited off of. Randy will tell you that. Wade will tell you that forever. They owe everything that they have. It's like golfers in golf owing their $400,000 second place check to Tiger Woods. Like, you should pay him a 90% tax rate because you wouldn't have it without him. It's the same thing. Like, Randy would not be making $15,000 to headline some venue if it hadn't been for Pat. But I want to know what it felt like to be left in the dust, to be there, to build it, to be at the top of the fucking peak, and then look around a couple years later and realize that everything's left you behind. It'd be interesting.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about Pat, Tom? I don't think I've ever heard you say his name.
Yeah. We talk about him from a first person perspective, different dealings. Like, we obviously love the dude, and he's been great to both of us for a lot of years, but we've dealt with good and bad.
Yeah. I'm curious how you feel about him, man.
So, like, obviously I don't know Pat on a firsthand, like, he's not in my phone, you know what I mean? I've interviewed him a handful of times, and it's always been, like that pleasant, whatever interview kind of thing. I think, like, Pat is both, it's this weird thing where he's both severely underrated and overrated at the same time by people. I think that, like, it's very, since he did, like you said, I think he contributed to so much of the infrastructure of what Texas is. And so, like, I think that, like, a lot of those, like the record Dance Hall Dreamer and stuff like that, I think those are, like, incredibly underrated. And I think that, like, the, what's that one damn song? It's on, like, the live records only, where you, like, name check Stevie Ray Vaughan and
Nightmare.
Yeah. I think that, like, that's one of the, like the hidden gems of Texas music that people really don't think of Pat as a songwriter, more so as a performer. But, like, and is it, like, is it the best song ever written? No, but I think, like, he tapped into something that he's been underrated as a songwriter. And so, like, that's where I kind of feel, I feel like the first time I heard Pat was Wave on Wave. That was already, like, the big thing, but, like, you obviously moving up.
That hurts so much.
Well, I mean, it
hurts so much.
It is, moving up to Lubbock and going, oh, Pat Green, he went to Texas Tech, and this is where he kind of got started. Oh, so, like, people actually, you can get started from places like this, and then, like, that's how I got into
with Corey Morrow. Like, they were
move away from the macro and look at the micro. Like, you probably don't have a Lubbock scene without Pat.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the strangest thing as far as, because, like, the generation before those guys, they were all kind of, like, born in Lubbock, right? Like Joe Ely and Terry Allen and
but those are different. That's not a generation. Like, that's where it starts. It starts with Pat before.
No. What I'm saying though is, like,
all
those guys were, like, born in Lubbock. After Pat, like, what's strange is people moving to Lubbock to start their music.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm saying. That's the difference. So it's I don't know. It's I've met so many people who go, oh, I moved to Lubbock because, like, Flatland. Cloto moved up here because he knew of Blue Light, and he knew of, like, oh, you can go to school and, like, you can try this music thing at the same time and actually.
Well, John,
maybe.
Bauman was talking about a lot. I mean, a lot of those guys. I don't know. Like I said, macro, micro. Like, there's just a way to break down what happened up there, in the same way you could break down what happened on the whole from the scene perspective. And it was just easier to navigate, I think, kind of what was going on there. I guess when you break it down into a smaller category, it makes more sense to do that. Like there were, I mean, like I would tell you, like there were times where I was like, man, I should have gone to fucking tech. You know,
I said that to you from the get go. I was like, why didn't you go to college somewhere?
Well, I wanted to go to Oklahoma, and I got a call on the way to orientation that's from Walt that said, hey, I want to make a record with you. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm about to do this. I'm about to be the next Pat Green. I was stupid. I was a kid. I was 18. You know, that's just what happens.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, you make dumb decisions when you're young.
Oh, yeah, well, that definitely happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, sorry, we could just keep hijacking your shit, Tom.
No, you're not hijacking. It's yeah, no, I always like the book thing. So like I feel like I want to write I have a book in me somewhere about Lubbock, about like the last.
Of course you do. Like you're the one.
Yeah.
You're Neo of Lubbock.
Oh God.
We asked the question on the first half of this podcast. If you're listening to this one, go back, check out the first half of the draft on the Co-Write podcast. But I asked you, like, you know, kind of what the end goal for you is. Like, what would be the achievement that you would say, okay, I'm good. I've done the thing that I want to do. And you said, write a book about the Lubbock music scene. And instantly I thought, who else should ever write a book about Lubbock music than you?
Yeah, I have thought of another answer though, since we have been talking about like something else that would
because I just started writing a book about the Lubbock music scene. I hope you can get yours out before me.
Well, it'd be like the guy who wrote it'd be like the dude, I can't remember his name, but I read it. The guy who wrote the biography about Bruce, with the first guy that had all the access to Bruce. And then like 5 years later, Bruce releases an autobiography and it sells, you know, whatever, 10 million copies. And he's just, I got screwed over.
Back to you, Tom. Sorry.
The other thing that could be a certain level of success, since we've already brought up the Ringer, let's sell New Slang to the Ringer and get some of that Spotify Bill Simmons money.
Yeah, totally agree.
That is something that would work on the Ringer.
No, of course not. But I mean, we can. I have no problem.
I don't know how many subscriptions you got on the spot.
Not enough to. But for, because I'm sure you read that thing that Bill wrote, or that piece about Bill. I have gone through a lot of, what did he say? He said something about how like this isn't an open mic, like podcasts aren't open mic.
Yeah.
On the Ringer. I have gone through the open mic. So, I mean, like.
I thought that was kind of fucking bullshit on him. Like,
no, it was totally.
I didn't agree. Like, I'll call him out all the time, but that was a little bit bullshit.
Yeah. One last question, and this is kind of more of it's kind of like the book thing. We all like television. We've already mentioned The Wire and Friday Night. I don't know if we mentioned Friday Night Lights, but Friday Night Lights is one of my favorites as well. Could a drama about Texas music be a thing, a TV show? And where would you try and focus that on if you had to go to a town?
Not Lubbock.
Nashville was a success, right? Like that TV show. So like, yeah, you could do the same thing. You just have to get people to care about it.
I think everybody would want it to be Austin.
Well, for sure.
Would you, I guess, like what kind of character would you revolve that around?
You know,
dude, it's fucking Pat Green. It's always Pat Green. It's Pat Green.
I'll break it. Let me peel a few layers off that question, because don't think for a second that I haven't thought about not necessarily a TV show, because doing multiple seasons, I mean, I played multiple years in the Texas music scene, and I know that at some point it just gets kind of redundant. But a movie, you saw the movie about Blaze Foley kind of come out. Like, there's definitely a movie that exists. There's a script that you could write about that I think a lot of people who aren't privy to what we do in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Kansas, Missouri, that would be interested in just the life of a musician. I don't know what musician I would want to center it around.
Actually, it's Matt Powell, bro.
Yeah, I mean, probably Matt would be a perfect example. Somebody like that.
Are you familiar with Matt Powell, Tom?
I don't think so.
Oh, Tom.
All right. So when we're done, we'll get back to this. We're not going to do it now.
You have homework, my friend.
Okay.
Oh my God, dude.
Well, I mean, Matt was in West 84, was in Wade's band for a lot of years.
Not West 84, but he was in.
Yeah. I mean, like, the band, I guess he was in, well, it was still Wade Bowen and West 84. It just wasn't the original group. But yeah, he was in that band. And I mean, I'll say this so Donovan doesn't have to. Matt Powell is a top 5 songwriter that ever existed in the Texas music scene. He doesn't live here anymore. He lives in Virginia, where he's from. But he was here for a really, really long time. And he wrote
$50 in a Flask of Crown. He wrote Good Thing. He wrote Missing You that Wade put on a record. He wrote Shine that was on a Brandon Ryder record.
Yeah, Bart did a song, Dandelion.
Yeah. But he also has like 5 or 6 records of his own. But he's unbelievable. If you like Ryan Adams, my friend, you will love Matt Powell.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll have to. I'm writing them down right now.
Yeah, Matt Powell. But yeah, to answer your question, somebody like that, there's definitely a movie.
You have to be a flawed character.
Yes, there's definitely a movie script around what that life is like to be just an exceptional songwriter, and then have a struggle with trying to kind of make it work. Mm-hmm. Because on a small scale, people don't know. Like, I mean, I've lived up here for a year now. People look at music from a perspective of, if I don't know your song, there's no way you could make money being a musician.
Right.
And we have people that we love, like Jason Isbell and Ryan Adams, who they've never heard of, who have made boatloads of money making independent music. Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers. Now everybody's doing it, right? Like, good artists are blowing up on an independent scale, but they still live here in a mentality of like the 90s, where like, if I don't own your record, I've never heard of you before. And that's not true. We all know that's not true anymore. And I think that you could, it'd be interesting for me to say, like, Pat, who obviously has had success and has made his money playing music, but we all know Pat. Like, I would be more interested in knowing about somebody like Matt, was a great answer, but there's a million other people. Dub Miller. I mean, there's a million. Matt Martindale.
I was about to say Matt Martindale. That's crazy. You said that.
What a great story that is. Like, there's all those people that have existed in this scene and have had such a large impact on countless other people that no longer live in the scene.
Mike McClure.
Yeah,
Mike McClure.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But there's just a lot of people. I think it would make a great movie. TV show, a little harder to write 10 seasons.
Yeah, I feel like
10 episodes.
Yeah.
How about like the mini series?
100 seasons.
Like the 4 episode kind of.
That's a great dynamic. Like, you could bring in a bunch of different people in that regard. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll do it for you, bro. It's Turnpike. 4 episodes. Turnpike.
Well, I don't even necessarily mean like, hey, real world bands, but like somebody like those artists. Like, I think like an interesting story would be the Evan Felker prototype of the guy very much like uncomfortable with the fame aspect.
Yeah.
But like needs the artistic expression.
All right, so allow me to throw this in. Stoney is kind of like a level down, which like was a person that was on the trajectory, kind of going that direction, and it kind of went up and down and up and down and up and down. You know what I mean? Like this was a guy that was a super dynamic cat, like that everybody was into, and didn't like jump to that Turnpike level, but is still kind of around it. Like as a character, that's a hard one to fight through.
Yeah.
You know?
I think with Stoney, you know, like, I mean, he wasn't, I don't mean this in a negative way, but he wasn't as self-destructive as Evan. And I think Stoney's biggest problem, and Blues too, to a degree, was they were just kind of a day late and $1 short. Like,
but Stoney sold out Billy Bob's.
Yeah, but yeah, I know that he did, but it was like right at the end, like of that first wave of that group that kind of reinvented what Texas music was about. Sans Pat, like the Randy, Ragweed, Wade, Stoney, and Blue. Like the Red Dirt album came out. Like I remember having a record that was coming out and Stoney was looking for a band to tour with. Like, and that was broadcasted on the ranch in Fort Worth. Like open auditions to be in Stoney LaRue's band to tour on this new album, the Red Dirt album that he has coming out. So that had to be 2005. And so like you've already got guys,
right.
Yeah, you already got guys that are kicking ass. And even then in 2005, 2006, the generations are starting to shift. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of how quickly it moves. But that's not a bad answer. I'm not saying that that's a bad answer.
Because it's just a weird spot to be timing. In. Yeah. Like you're kind of like up there, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm
good question, dude. Good question.
Yeah. That's a hell of a question.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that where you're just like, you're flirting with, like a maintained success of like that. Yeah. I mean, it's like we all know those guys who they had that one great show and like the one good year, and I could have been a contender, you know, like that whole thing. I feel like those are what people mainly relate to, because like we don't relate to I don't know. It's weird. I feel like on a human level, it's hard to relate to the people who are the geniuses and have, not saying like Evan's a genius or something, but you get what I'm saying. Like it's harder to relate to someone like Bob Dylan than it is to someone, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this. So anyway,
like I could just cut this off and say like I don't really like Turnpike Troubadours that much. Like, I'm just messing with you, bro.
Yeah.
I would say we could tap the brakes on comparing Evan to Bob Dylan, but
yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm trying not to do that.
Yeah,
I don't think like that's the thing at all. But
we all love our stuff.
Exactly,
man.
that's the beauty of music, man. Like
people look at me and they're like, Ryan Adams, really? I'm like, yeah, Ryan Adams, better than everybody. I don't care what you say. You can't put anybody above him.
They look at you and they go,
and then y'all are like, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, see, that's the thing though, is like, true. I do love Turnpike a whole lot, but like, they're probably not even really like my favorite all-time band or anything. They're not like,
really?
We're gonna know who that might be though.
I don't even know if I have an answer for that anymore. Like, I don't know if
you do. Come on.
I believe in that I feel like everyone has like 10 favorite bands through their life.
Yes. So we covered sports on the co-ride half of this episode, and Donovan asked you a question that I actually thought about earlier, not to ask you, just thought about from my own perspective when I was waiting for baseball to start all day anxiously. like I don't think that I could rate my favorite sports. Like, I don't know that I could put one above the other. I think that I have Oklahoma football college football involving the Sooners, number one, no problem. But you start asking me to like rank the Dallas Stars compared to the Texas Rangers, compared to golf that involves Tiger or Phil, or I don't know that I could really put them in an order that I'd be comfortable with. Like, because to me, the greatest thing that's ever happened in my sports life.
What does this have to do with music?
It's the same thing. It's like trying to put your favorite band. Like I'm agreeing with his.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where you're going.
Yeah, his inability to say, I'm not sure that I have a favorite band.
Oh, okay.
All like right. I'm not sure that I could do that either. Like when you love something so much and you just want to be involved in everything that happens all the time, like music or sports, it's impossible to kind of put them in order.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that you can't put Turnpike number one because I put the Sooners number one, but I'm just saying, like,
right. I think it for me, and this would take a little bit more time, but it would be a lot easier for me to go, oh, my favorite band at 19 was this band. My favorite band.
Yeah.
Than right now. Cause like it just feels like there's too much, and
Tom,
it's hard.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But I have a tattoo on my back that I got because of Keith Sweat. That's a true story. It's a panther. It's on my back. Keith Sweat.
He's proving your point.
Carry on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's
1993.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Wicker's Mesquite Smoked Jalapeno Jelly. It's owned and operated by my buddy Wes Wicker, who makes the jelly in small batches for the best quality and freshness. He smokes the peppers with mesquite and uses pure cane sugar to make the jelly. What you get is this great blend of smoky, sweet, and spicy. It's addictively savory. For those uninitiated, Wicker's is a great addition to any chef's kitchen. Part of what makes Wicker's so great is just how versatile it really is. For starters, it makes a great meat glaze. Throw it on a batch of hot wings, use it on some pork ribs, some pork chops, really whatever you can think of. Eat it on biscuits, cornbread, bagels, or toast. Throw it on a ham or turkey sandwich. Another super simple but effective way is to get some cream cheese, throw some Wickers on top, and then grab your favorite cracker. Wickers is currently stocked at a handful of places in Lubbock and on the South Plains, as well as some Fort Worth and DFW locations. But the easiest way to get your hands on a jar is to head over to wickerstx.com. That's WICKERSTX.com. I'll throw a link into the show notes for good measure. They currently come in two varieties, original and now hot, if you need just a little bit more kick in your bite. You can order anything from one jar to a case of 12, whatever fits your needs. Again, that's wickerstx.com. Okay, back to the show.
Yeah, you guys want to finish out the draft?
Let's do the draft.
He's like, I'm done with this shit. I'm done with talking to y'all.
He's gonna go YouTube Keith Sweat after this.
He's like, no, I know. He's gonna be like, oh my God, why did I talk to this bastard?
To try to understand Donovan more.
What is Keith Sweat?
I'm gonna take a deeper dive. All right, let's recap this draft real quick. All right, so not to hijack your podcast.
Yeah, go with it.
We decided to do our favorite festival lineup. We were going to do 6 rounds of drafting, but we each got one guaranteed spot, our favorite artists. Well, I mean, what we thought was Tom's favorite artist, but now we're learning different. Mine is Bruce Springsteen. Tom got Turnpike Troubadours, and Donovan got Ryan Adams. And then we've picked 3 rounds already. We're going to pick the other 3 now. If you want to hear the first 3 rounds, check out the Co-Write podcast with Tom Mooney in this draft, and you'll hear them. I don't even know if I want to tell people what they were, so they can go listen to the podcast if they want to, but I'll tell them if you guys think it's cool. Nobody said anything, so we'll just keep moving on. Go back over there, figure out the other draft. At the end of this, you're going to get a recap of our entire festival anyway, so it doesn't matter.
All right, so I am starting the 4th round. of the Snake.
Donovan Dodd.
And I am going to go with, man, I should have had this ready. I'm going to take the Topo Chico Cowboys.
Wow.
That is Drew Kennedy and Josh Greider, and they deserve an audience. And that's where I'm going with that. Great songs. You're gonna have a blast listening to them. Have a tequila sunrise or some sort of a crispy Aperol spritz while you listen to them because they're gonna start the festival, and that's who I'm going with.
All right, hold on. I think we should probably talk about the bands that we've taken so far.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, you just said we weren't going to.
Yeah,
and
I think
again,
that we should.
I get fucked twice.
I'm not sure that that's the case.
It is.
So I had the first pick. We're doing a snake draft. So I went 1, Tom went 2, Donovan went 3, Donovan went 4, Tom went 5, I went 6, so on and so forth.
You went 7, Tom went 8,
exactly.
I went 9.
So my picks so far have been the Randy Rogers Band, number 1 overall.
Kinda.
Followed by Reckless Kelly, followed by Jackson Browne. Tom went Fleetwood Mac. Great pick. Very controversial second pick with the Dixie Chicks, which are from Texas, but Donovan and I considered them more of a national scale, but we'll give it to him. You know what? Thinking outside the box, we love it. Third pick, very reputable pick, Terry Allen. Pulling in the 806 to get a little more cred where he should have had it maybe like 30 years ago. Donovan's first pick overall was Taylor Swift. It's hard to argue against that one. Second pick, interesting for the second round, I believe. Mike and the Moon Pies. They probably would have existed in the third round, but you went ahead and took them. You're like the Cowboys taking Dak. And no, that's not true. You're like
terrible.
Yeah, it is. That's not a good one. You're like
actually, I just took the best Texas band first.
Arguable.
Cool.
Arguable. Then you took Pat, and now you've taken the Topo Chico Cowboys.
Yeah, love it.
So it's Tom's choice.
This is my goddamn festival.
Right now, I have Tom envy to a degree.
So my next pick is, and I don't know where she's going to fit in here. I think she could go either date, to be perfectly honest. Jamie Lynn Wilson. We're going to put her in there. I'll get back to you on what date or which of the days. The Turnpike, Terry Allen, Jamie Lynn.
Doesn't matter, dude. She's going to sing with every band that is on your festival.
You're right on that, actually. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter, but yeah, we're throwing her in there.
I like it. Okay, so I've got Reckless, Jackson, and Bruce covering one day. I need to start rounding out my RRB headlining day. I'm going to go with a band that I would love to see because it's my festival and I have that opportunity. I'm going to take William Clark Green here in the fourth round spot. Probably my favorite band to watch live. At least the band that I would say to everybody who hadn't seen them, you should probably go check that out. I watched them play in New York at the end of February, and I will say that after seeing them in Texas and then Out of Their Element, which I've enjoyed as well, it's just a really good show. Really good show. And I get to go again too, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's see. This is a really tough choice. There's a big one still on the table that I would love to have on my festival. But, Yeah, and you know what? I'll do Jamie Lynn's best friend here. I'll do Courtney Patton. To me, there's no better live singer that I've ever come across than Courtney. Secondary, there's no better hang than Courtney. So if I'm putting on the festival and I have all access to all of these people, I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess I know 3 of them, but like I would just navigate to her to be around anyway. And I would love to play rhythm guitar in that band. And so, yeah, I'm going to take Courtney Patton, round 5. And then we'll see if I catch a big fish in round 6.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking here. My next pick, I don't know. Does this feel like a snake draft for fantasy football where like the timer's going and you're like, oh shit, who should I pick? Who? Because I feel that very much right now, and things just like shit hits the fan, and like you're just struggling to figure out what you're doing.
I got a list. It's
yeah, I'm looking at my list right here, but I'm still going, oh man, who do I go with? I think what I'm going to do here is, well, no. We're going to go ahead and go with like my initial gut. And that is with, if we're going to put this on the Turnpike Day, and we're going to go with Charlie Crockett.
Ooh, nice. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, Charlie Crockett. We'll go with Charlie with a Y.
All right. Well, I mean, so you chose.
Glad you said Charlie with a Y.
The Dixie Chicks earlier, so I can choose Miranda Lambert and Casey Musgraves if I want right now, right?
Yeah,
sure.
You could.
I'm not going to because that's bullshit. Just like your Chicks pick was bullshit. That's cool. I'm going to keep going. You can go back to the Co-Write podcast to hear us tell him he's bullshit. So I am going to go with Walt Wilkins and the Mysticaros back for a reunion. And I'm actually going to take Cody Jinks.
Nice.
So that's my 6. That's my 6.
So Donovan's festival is Ryan Adams, Taylor Swift, Mike and the Moon Pies, Pat Green, the Topo Chico Cowboys, Walt Wilkins, and Cody Jinks.
Boom.
Pretty solid.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with, I don't know, man.
Yeah. See, this is the problem that we talked about earlier running into is there's so many bands and just only 3 of us.
Right.
We need about 10 people.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with another band that I just feel is like super underrated. And I guess what I'm going to do is I'm on my list here. I would throw Jamie Lynn on the Fleetwood Mac Day, even though like we've already established he's probably going to be singing with anybody and everybody on there. And who's opening up that first day is Quaker City Nighthawks.
Ooh.
They're going to be like the ones who kind of like just let I guess like, especially since it's out in the desert, the mood setter.
That's a really solid pick.
Yeah, you're an asshole for taking them because they're really great.
I think we're all buying tickets to Tom's festival.
God damn it, Tom.
I mean, I'm definitely buying tickets to my own to watch Bruce, and I'll probably buy tickets to Donovan's just to see Taylor Swift. But the other days, maybe. Both days for Tom, though. All right, so I get the last pick. I'm just going to take an OG, a guy that I think is head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of songwriting.
Katie Clark.
That's right. I'm going to go, to round out my day, I'm going to go, this is how my festival will run. Day one, headliner, Randy Rogers Band. Opener, Courtney Patton. Direct support to round out my draft will be Wade Bowen. Because, come on, you're going to get 2 for 1. They're going to have the hold my beer and watch this dynamic. You could get a few extra things out of it, which every concert promoter would want. So I'll take Wade Bowen and round out the festival draft. Our apologies to Josh Abbott. We ran out of time. But
okay.
But yes, that's boys. All right, let's go over these festival lineups. Like, you tell us, podcast listeners, would you come to a festival that had Wade, Courtney, Randy, Jackson Browne, Reckless Kelly, Bruce Springsteen, William Clark Green, or actually Tom's definitely does win. Like, come on, give me a break. One day you've got Quaker City Nighthawks, Jamie Lynn Wilson, Turnpike Troubadours, Terry Allen, Turnpike Troubadours, right? And then you've got Charlie Crockett, the Dixie Chicks, or the Chicks, Fleetwood Mac. And you're going to get a really good variety of fans.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I still win.
Okay, Donovan wins with Taylor Swift, Ryan Adams, Mike and the Moon Pies, Pat Green, Topo Chico Cowboys, Walt Wilkins, and Cody Jinks.
That's basically, you can't beat that. Sorry. That's why it's called Our Festivals.
Right.
Yeah. Well, who's like the name on your? I want to see that list that you have. Basically, you got your phone.
Mine?
Yeah. You showed your phone. Did you have stuff written down, Bobby, or people written down?
I got Radney Foster. I didn't realize we were just doing Texas only. Josh Weathers, obviously. Will Hogue. I had McKenna. Like, I thought these were kind of like our scene. I would have absolutely put Lori McKenna in there. I had Will, I had Stoney, I had Shafter and Rodney together, like as a, like Topo Chico Cowboys type deal, like Charlie Shafter and Rodney Parker, like those guys together, so great. I had Courtney, I had Adam Hood, Robert Earl, of course, and Mike McClure and Cody Canada. So
I did not have a bunch written down. I just worked off of memory. And because it's hard to have a bunch written down and then you see a few of them evaporate and you start to panic.
Right. But, yeah.
So I was just writing them down as you chose.
My national bands, though, I had Roots, Jay, Kanye, Outkast, Beyonce, and the Eagles.
Better book Kanye quick before he gets locked up.
Yeah, I was hoping you guys would let me do the Watch the Thrones tour.
You could have. You had the ability to choose.
Yeah, I figured it was Taylor, man. It had to be Taylor.
Well, she's going to sell more tickets, but yes.
I just want to see Taylor. I've seen the Watch the Thrones tour.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking there was a moment where I was thinking about, do I make this a very a very kind of exclusive thing where it's more of the acoustic songwriter thing where I could have gone more we're going Lori McKenna. We're just going like that kind of route. We're making it a destination festival where it's just songwriters. I thought about maybe doing something like that, but
it's Rhymes and Vines.
I would have taken McKenna, but you said Dixie Chicks, and that was because they're from Texas. And I was like, oh, well, I guess then Lori McKenna is just.
Well, no. I wouldn't have picked Fleetwood Mac though at that point. That's what.
Yeah, Lori McKenna is definitely not a Texas music act.
Yeah.
I know yeah. We all obviously didn't really understand what we were.
No. But that's what I'm saying. If I would have picked McKenna, I wouldn't have picked Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah,
that's where my pick would have went for the national act. So it would have been.
Oh, got you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I had all the usual suspects on my list. Thought about old 97s. I thought about Rodney. I don't know. Like that was pretty much. Actually, the one band that I thought about going instead of Fleetwood Mac for the national act would have been the War on Drugs. And going back.
I've heard a lot about them, man. I've never really listened to that group.
You got some homework to do.
Really? There it is.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about them, man. I've never listened.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of my that's probably like my favorite band of like the last 4 or 5 years has been the War on Drugs. I just think like they're.
Is it incredible. Just Nancy Reagan just like singing?
I wish, right? Yeah.
Maybe not.
That's a War on Drugs joke, everybody.
Dare.
I'll check that out. That's good homework.
All right, that's it for this crossover episode. Be sure to check out part 1 if you haven't. Subscribe to the Co-Write and New Slang, of course, as well. Check out episode sponsors The Blue Light Live, Tom's Daiquiri, and Wicker's Jalapeno Jelly. Okay, I'll see y'all next week.